G'day people, how you going? It's Glenn from Aussie Lingo 101. And if you don't like that name, let me know. Anyway, today's not actually a word, but a phrase I'd like to talk about is the phrase un-Australian. And if you look at me, I have like a beanie on, fit jacket. Yeah, do I look Australian apart from my accent? No, I do not. I do not have a hat on, slouch hat with little corks coming down. So that could be a definition of un-Australian. But in general, people around the world, they sort of look similar. We all dress similar. Pants, shirt, jacket. Unless you know specifically what country they come from. Yeah, they don't look like what your expectations are supposed to be. Anyway, this term un-Australian is probably similar to the term un-American. But the first usage that I found on the internet is in reference to 1855, in which a Europeanized landscape, like in the past, well, when Europeans come to Australia, they didn't like eucalyptus trees, wattles, native mammals, and all the other stuff that's uniquely Australian. So they tried to make it more European. They imported elk, oaks, not really firs, pines, and they also imported animals, rabbits, deer. They tried to let squirrels go in Ballarat, Melbourne, Adelaide, but squirrels could not adapt to the Australian environment, probably because possums took the same habitat, and they couldn't compete with possums. Possums are just bloody cool. I should make a video showing you what a possum is. Anyway, so that reference to that type of habitat that was Europeanized was termed as un-Australian because it was totally different to the environment in Australia and also the species in Australia. But in time, this came to be termed as a term for people being un-Australian. Now, Stanley Bruce, who was the 8th Prime Minister of the Australia, he was a Conservative for the National Party, which the National Party became United Australia Party, which became the Liberal Party. And he used it for striking workers in 1925. Oh, you can't strike. No, you can't. That's un-Australian. Typical Conservative fuck. And in 1930, it was used by Joseph Lyons, who was another Prime Minister of the United Australia Party, same as Stanley Bruce. He used it against communists and non-British immigrants. So, yeah, as you know, during the 1930s, especially in Germany, there was a conflict between nationalists and communists, and a lot of people were killed in that time. Even in the United States and Australia, communists were demonised all the way up until the 90s when the Soviet Union collapsed. And they never made much headway in Australia, and they're really marginalised now. The Greens, it was sort of conservation, has some communist tendencies, but I doubt it very much. They'll want to nationalise everything. They're a little bit communisty, but at least they don't lie at the moment. But this term was really popularised by John Howard, who was part of the Liberal Party, and he was a Conservative as well. And he virtually done nothing for Australia. And Pauline Hanson, who is a One Nation fuckwit, she's pretty racist. Like in the 90s, she was having a go at Asians. Oh, Asians are going to invade. Oh yeah, they're going to take over Australia. Oh. And now she's harping on about Muslims. Oh, Muslims are going to come and bomb us all. Oh. Quite frankly, we have I can't remember how many. about 100,000 Muslims. If they wanted to bomb us all, a lot of Australians would be dead by now. So it's really just bullshit. So they use the term for un-Australian for people who oppose their views. You don't want to go with us? You're un-Australian, mate. Oh, you like Muslims? You like Muslims? That's un-Australian. Muslims are un-Australian, right? Yeah, that's sarcasm. Don't take that literal. John Howard, I don't know, it's probably isn't. We have to follow Americans into Iraq. If you do not agree with me, you are un-Australian. Yeah. Like Alzheimer's. Woo! So, that is the term for un-Australian. That's a historical background. So, if you want to use it in a sentence, you could go, Glenn, you're not patriotic enough. That's un-Australian. Now, go die for your country. Or another way, I use it myself. People go, don't you love your country? Oh, don't you love your country? Oh, you won't do this, you won't do that. And I just say, no, I'm not patriotic. That makes me un-Australian. I do love Australia, but I love Australia for what it does, not despite what it does. So if it does shit like it does on Manus, then no, I'm not going to love Australia. I'll stay here to piss off the wankers, because they deserve to be pissed off. Anyway, so un-Australian. When you come to Australia and you see something that's you don't think is Australian, just go, oh, you're un-Australian. So if you see someone doing a donut, that's un-Australian, because they do that in the United States and everywhere else too. If you see a plantation of pine trees, fig trees, oh, that forest over there is un-Australian, because it is not native. Or if you see someone who loves a foreign country, except for our allies. Our allies are included. If they love Russia, just go, oh, when you piss off to Russia, you un-Australian bastard. But as long as they do not betray Australia, all is good. Okay, so I hope this word helped you in expanding your vocabulary of Australian English. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you don't, give it a thumbs down. And also subscribe to my channel. I like to make videos about Australian slang and Australian terms, and to describe them as best as I can. So, from an un-Australian bastard, hooroo.